Hello and welcome to another video. In this video I'll be talking about the entity list of CS2 and how you can find it and a little bit about it. Now before, in our previous videos, we were finding the entity list by searching for our health address, then subtracting the health offset from our health address, which will give us which gave us the local player address. Then we were searching for pointers to the local player address, which would actually give us the entity list. That was very simple. Well, now in CS2 it's a little bit different. What's interesting and what's like genuinely like interesting is that if you open CS2 in insecure mode and you try to um, loop through the entities that way, the good old-fashioned way, it's going to work. And you guys can check this for yourself in Cheat Engine, in a bots match in casual when it's insecure. Now, if you remove the insecure option from Steam and you go into a bots game on CS2, for some reason the bots will have the pointer to the bots inside that structure, entity list structure, will be randomly apart, which is basically making it very unreliable to loop through it. I'm pretty sure that they're doing that on purpose, so they can confuse people of how to look through the entity list. But it's very easy to find. It's easy to find it even after changed, so it's not that bad. Now the entity list in CS2 is made from these things called CS player pawn controllers. Now let's actually understand the term pawn. Pawn is the player mod, is the entity model. A controller is the owner of that pawn, and it has fields like if the Steam ID and shit like that. It's not generally too relevant to the actual game, to the actual game world, to the actual world. So yeah. Also, the controller, the pawn controller, inherits C-based entity. And if you guys don't know what C-based entity is, the class that we've been working with this whole time when looping through the entity list. That's how the class is named inside the game, C-based entity. Okay, alright, enough talking, and let's actually show you guys how you can find this for yourself. So let's open up Cheat Engine. I'm really sorry guys about the Cheat Engine name. I just downloaded this version off the internet, so I can like a custom version, so it's a little bit more detectable against shitty anti-cheats. We're going to attach to Counter-Strike 2, and yeah, I am indeed using the Windows debugger, if you guys care about that, because right now I am inside insecure mode, and I'm also on a VACBAN account. Okay, first step is going to be, as always, search for a health value. So what we're trying to do now is find the health address, but actually we're trying to find health addresses which are being accessed by an address with a direct offset to it. If you guys don't understand what I'm saying, I'll show in a second what I mean. 84. Just gonna do it one more time. Okay, never mind. So let's actually, okay, now we're going to look at each individual for one of these. So this is not a level 1 pointer. I'm trying to find okay, this is what we're searching for. Can't really explain it, I'm really sorry. Oh yeah, and also this is 32C. Now, in the previous video we found out that 32C is the MI Health Net var offset, which can be found inside IDA Pro, so we're not taking that one because it's not relevant with the player controller. So now next what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to press F5 and we're going to find, in this case, what RSI is. RSI. So the value of the registry RSI, which is the address of the local player. We can call that like that. The local pawn, whatever. Okay, so now we have the addresses, the local player addresses. So now to look and find out to see if what we're looking at is a C-based entity or a pawn or like a player pawn or a player controller, what we have to do, we have to right click on it, browse this memory region, dissect data structures, new structure. Now what Cheetah Engine is doing over here, it's giving a structure name based on the memory region of the game. So it's trying to find a relevant string for the structure name in this memory, like in the close memory region. In this case, this class or structure is most probably a player pawn, which is not what we're trying to find because we know that the entity list is made up from player controllers. So we're going to delete this and we're going to do it for the next ones. This is a CSS player controller, that's nice. Keeping that. This is once again a CSS player controller. Yeah, man.
Yes, are you home?
Yeah, man, what's up?
Open the window.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, this is a HUD radar, sorry, wait. Okay, I'm back, sorry guys. Next. Okay, let's actually go next. Okay, this is HUD radar. It's 100% on it. We're just going to delete that real quick. We're gonna do the same thing for the others. Player pawn, nope. Alright. HUD again. We don't really give a fuck about that. Okay, we only have two. Now, next, what we're going to have to do is now we're going to have to a pointer scan for both for each one of them until we find it. So the first pointer scan, we're first gonna have to press here. Pointers must end specific offsets, and we're going to put it to 0. We're gonna put the max level to 3. I'll explain in a second why the fuck we do that. So yes, all right. Pointer scan. We're going to save it in a random folder, and now we're gonna wait. Okay, as you can see, we found 27 pointers, level 3 pointers. Now we're not now from what we can see here. Now our entity list is relative with the client.dll module. From the looks of this, there isn't one single pointer relative with the client.dll module. So we're just going to delete this pattern over here, this address over here, because it's not it. And now we're going to do the same thing for this one. And now, yeah. Alright, so we found 45 results of fuckton, but also remember that actually we're not going to be taking all of these, we're only going to be taking the ones relative to the client.dll module. So now let's actually, okay, it's not done. No. Okay, we have this. Bam. Now, interesting thing about the entity list, there's actually multiple entity lists, which is actually very interesting to know. And actually right now I'm just gonna minimize this and we're gonna be working for this for now, because I can tell you already that you guys can take like 6-7 of them and you're probably already gonna have the, how do you call it, the entity list. Also guys, remember to exclude pointers that have, for example, offsets like 0, that start with 0 and the second one is 0, and the only offset that you have is 0. Don't use those. Okay, and the reason that we were searching for offsets that were ending in 0, because we're trying to have our local player to be the first entity from the entity list. And if we use that, we're going to get less results in the pointer scan, and it's going to be easier for us. Okay, next, what we are going to have to do to see if we actually have an entity list in our hands, we're going to remove the last offset. And we do that because if we would have just created a new structure and dissected a new structure, it would straight give us the local player controller pawn structure. So if we remove the last offset, it's going to give you a bigger image. So this is going to be our local player. So if we were adding 0, we were just dissected only in this part. We don't want that. And we're trying to see the bigger picture. So now we have 1. Now in an entity list, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. You were going to have 7 player controllers, including ourselves. So this is 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7. And you can scroll as much as you want. There isn't another one. Okay, this could be it. But remember, this could be it. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna stop here. I'm gonna fucking delete these. I'm just gonna no, actually I'm just gonna leave them here. Gonna rename them something random. Okay, now what we're going to have to do, we're gonna open a project. In this case, I already have a project set up. I basically just have a simple project that finds the CS2 process ID, module base for the client DLL, and opens the process, giving us access to it so we can read and write memory to it, and we'll just do a simple loop. Now, this over here, this code, this part of the code, I got this part, like this part of the code I got this from GitHub repository of a CS2 external cheat, and this is the way that they did it. Now it wasn't 10x, but I'll explain that in a second. So over here, what we're going to have to do is basically finding the entity list by we're just getting the entity list as the usual way that we were doing it before, and then we create a for loop, and now we're creating a list entry. Now in this video I will only be talking about the first list entry because it's the simplest one, and not about the second. Not really about the second, not that much about it. Now here, this guy, like on his cheat, he was adding the entity list with this fucking bullshit code. Now a little bit to see what this really does. I came to the conclusion that this will always, like nearly almost always, give the answer to will give the answer 16. 16 in integer, and 16 in hexadecimal is 10x. That is your x10. So instead of doing this bullshit and to confuse many other people, I'm just going to add 10. And why they do this? Because in the entity list, to get to the actual list of the player controllers, on the actual entity list, you have to add, there is an offset of 10, of a pointer of 10 at the a pointer at the offset 10 that you need to open, and I'll show you guys in a second. And over here you're getting the player, and this over here, this formula is the most important formula out of this, really. And also this is very important as well, but this is like the main most important formula. Why? Well, because this basically calculates the next basically offset location for the next for the next player controller instance. And what I mean by that, let me actually show you guys this. So you have over here 0. If you're going to put the value of okay, so let's say you have an offset at f0 over here. Now if you're going to, and let's say this is the iteration of 2, now the next iteration 3 is going to be this one. It's going to find this offset over here and it's going to add it to the list entry, and the list entry is basically this list I'm just scrolling through, and well, we're basically just looping through it. It's kind of similar to the old-fashioned way that we were doing it in CSGO, right? And then we're using the pawn health offset, which in our case is 808, because this is the local base address that we got from the health base address with the offset 808 in the beginning of the video. And also there is also a second entry list of the player pawn, and the player pawn has stuff like the origin. Okay, so now the actual to pinpoint the actual entity list is to look at the offset of this, and we have to look for an offset of 10 in this case. I mean, listen, it doesn't really have to be 10 because I'm 100% sure that there's another way to get an entity list, but right now we're trying to find the entity list that has an offset of 10. And I'll because I'm 100% sure there's also a second entry list for this one, but it's somewhere else inside this, and I'm not going to show you this video how the fuck to do that because it's gonna be very very long. It's already very long, so yeah, you guys can find it for yourself if you just like do some reverse engineering, just look into it more, just study it. You guys are going to find it for some of these offsets, not all of them. But now to make this easier, we're just gonna look at these. For example, this one has an offset of 10, so we're gonna take this one, and what we're gonna do, we're going to real quick comment this shit out for the second entry list, and we're making a simple program to display the health of all the players in the map. Okay, so now we're going here. By the way, all of these offsets are outdated except for the player pawn, entity list, and the vec origin, and the pawn health. So we're going to build that. Okay. Let me actually go into this program now. Now, as you can see, it's spewing up the health values of our players. So now let's like shoot this guy. You can see 74, 100, 188. 74 is me. No, not me. Sorry, guys. So yeah. Okay, it's pretty good. As you can see, it works. This one works for the health, so that's good. So the first entry works for this offset. I suppose it works as well for this one. This one, it will not work because we don't have an offset of 10. We're just going to fucking delete that. We're also going to delete. Oh, what the fuck is this? A fucking breakboard. That's so stupid. Okay. We're gonna keep the ones with that there's an offset 10. Okay, we're keeping this one. Gonna keep this one as well. And this one. Okay. So now the second test that to do to see if we actually have a good entity list based on this guy's code over here is to now display the origin, which is the feed coordinates of the players. And if that will work, that means that this offset over here, the region of the entity list from this offset relative with the client.dll module, has also the second entry list close to it. So we're going to see. We're expecting values as like 2000 something, like negative 1000 something, shit like that, and we're having 0, so that's invalid. That's not good. So it's not this one. We're going to delete this shit. Next, let's take this. Build this. 0, not good. Delete this. Let's do this one. And as you can see, we're actually getting values. So that's actually very nice. Okay, I could try for all of these, but I'm just gonna name this entitylist pointer. Now let's take a little look at it. Let's actually remove all the offsets, and let's take a look at it. So now, why am I doing this? Is because now next time when you guys are going to do this, now I'm gonna give you like some things you can look out for your so you can watch out when you search for your entity list. So for me, when I remove all my offsets, the pointer of the instance, we have a pointer instance of the cgame entity system, which is already a green flag and entity system. You can see it from the name. Maybe this maybe this is going to be for you automatic filled pointer or some shit like that, because sometimes cheat engine can't really read it, like everything. So don't worry if you don't have this, just open it. And now if you have a pointer at the 10th offset, 010 offset, that's good. You open that. So now you're going to have a pointer to the instance of the world, which is actually a thing that you have to watch out for in when searching the entity list. So when you guys search the entity list, try to find a pointer close to the actually list entry. And over here we have the list entry. Scrolling down it, we have the player controllers. And by the way, over here, to talk a little bit about the second list entry, what he's basically doing, he's getting this. Each player controller has this offset, which represents their value for the player pawn that they're controlling, basically. And using that, we can calculate. Let's see over here. We can calculate the player pawn, and then we can get the entity, the second list entry for that, by adding the entity list with a specific offset relative with the specific player pawn of each player controller. So this is really important. You guys need to know this. At least like paste it, put it like in your program or somewhere. But it's important to know what it does. Then you actually get the player pawn by reading from the list entry and doing exactly what we're doing over here, the same calculation, but instead of iterating through it with normal integer values, for example from 1 to 32, we're iterating with it by using the player pawn integer values, and then we can get the coordinates, and then we can have an ESP and whatever. Okay, so I hope you guys understood something today, and I'm sorry about the delay of not uploading anything. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.